Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 58 of 2024. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neil. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us at The Odds Breakers. Follow us on social media /The Odds Breakers. This episode is being brought to you by This Season. For the largest and most affordable football contest in all the land, please visit www.theszn.com/OB. Get in 12 contests for half out, 50% off for $60. You also get into our Guaranteed Plus EV Survivor Contest, guaranteed $250, as well as over $250,000 in guaranteed prizes. First place on Normal Survivor, $50,000, everything for $60. If you'd like to support the Oddsbreakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, and become a member. Pick any for win cappers, get their premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com, and if nothing else, please visit the Oddsbreakers and become a free picks and Telegram subscriber. 10 days left to get our football packages using the promo code FOOTBALL24. Make sure you get in and cash with us. I had another fantastic preseason week. I am currently 9-4-1 on all sides and total bets in preseason, 1-2 in parlays, but all positive money for the parlays that we made. None were laying any vig, so I'm down a little bit in parlays, but way up for the preseason year. If you guys want to cash with me, you can also get my monthly membership, 50% off for life, $75 a month for life, getting all my plays. Or you can get our premium insider plays where we release everything for the weekend on Friday, a little bit during the week for $50 a month, including our algorithms and football predictions listed at theoddsbreakers.com. We have a great show for you today because Vegas Matty is going to come on and give us some updates on Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Will there be an overlay? Positive EV is what we get for overlays because there's no rake when it comes to football contests, which is awesome. And we're also going to talk some fantasy football with our guy, D Nasty, talking a little bit about running backs and quarterbacks. We have some rankings that we want to share, some sleepers and some busts. I'm going to tell you what quarterbacks to avoid. Also going to give you some running backs and which ones I think are going to flake out quickly. There's a few of them that I think have a big red flag on them, and some that are going to be some sleepers for your 2024 fantasy football season. Can't wait to talk some fantasy football. But before that, I'm going to talk a little preseason football. And you know it, preseason is rolling. We're having a great preseason year. One more week of plays. So there's some lines that are definitely moving. I'm going to get into this as well for our show coming up on Thursday. But before that, I want to just kind of talk a little bit about some of the things that I noticed, maybe a few hot takes here and there. For one, the Raiders, what the hell is going on with you guys? You play your starters or most of your starters for most of the game and you're still getting beat? And not getting beat by first-string players, you're getting beat by Cowboy backups?
Unreal.
You know? And then all of a sudden the coach, Antonio Pierce, decides to name the starting quarterback in Gardner Minshew. What the hell did he do to earn that? You know, I guess he sucked the least, kind of. I'd still say that's debatable. But, man, I'm a little bit worried about the Raiders. Now, I'm not going to overreact. It's still preseason. And you know what? These are all professionals. These are all guys that are in the tops of their college class and guys that have been in the league 3 or 4 years trying to fight for positions. You know, I'm not going to overreact just yet. Maybe he's also being vanilla with the playbook. But still, this definitely is concerning for the Raiders. Another team that's terrible is Carolina Panthers. You know, kind of like what I said last week. I was like, man, this Panthers team, it feels like the losing culture is still there, you know, and it was. The losing culture was still there, you know, concerned about them. The Buffalo Bills, everyone bet the Steelers. I stayed away from that game, but if you looked at our numbers, you know that Sean McDermott likes to win in the preseason just as much as Mike Tomlin. You know, why that? I'm mad that I didn't take the dog, but the Bills beat him outright. Was it 9-3? And both quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, looked terrible. Man, Justin Fields couldn't even hit the broadside of a barn. You know, he could run. He got a bunch of first downs and chunk yards on his running, but he didn't score anything that game. You know, he's not looking good. And the Russell Wilson doesn't either. So the Steelers, I think, are in some definite trouble. Packers didn't even want to play anybody, so that was an easy win. We had a parlay tied into Denver with Jacksonville on that to make it a nice Sunday. It was actually more of a makeup parlay because we lost the one we had on Cleveland, which is another weird story. Cleveland, you know, Stefanski, according to his preseason record, which wasn't a huge sample size, you know, kind of said that he's just lukewarm on preseason. Well, now he's kind of back to 50%. You know, he really doesn't seem to care at all this year. But at the same time, I'm not so sure that Cleveland's not a little bit disjointed themselves. You know, the Bears are just running through people in preseason football. That was an easy bet. We took the Bears -2. It went all the way up to -7 after that. I think it closed around -6, but the Bears was an easy cover. That was fun. I think the Bears are just kind of hyped up. One thing I noticed is that, you know, Caleb Williams is going against mostly starters, second string, you know, and then Tyson Bagent's going against second to fourth string. But still, Tyson Bagent, he's looked pretty dang good as a backup quarterback for the Bears. You know, all the Bear Justin Fields fans are saying that it should be Bagent starting, you know, and all the realists are saying, look, it's Caleb Williams. He's playing against tougher competition, and he's not trying to make the team. Caleb Williams had a really nice back shoulder type pass, a little bit fading towards the out of bounds and landed right in Romo Dunze's hands, probably about 35 yards down the field. That was awesome. And then he ran in for that touchdown. Williams wasn't bad. You know, there's some good defense out there, but the Bears just seem really motivated. Does it translate to regular season? That's what you can't get from preseason. I don't know. You know, sometimes teams that are bad just play really well in the preseason, but then they kind of choke, you know, confidence thing or something when they get to the regular season. And obviously they're playing against the number one string. So that's interesting. Bengals, this coach never wants to win in the preseason, and Zach Taylor, you know, and so that's why it was such a nice, easy win, in my opinion, for the Bears. You know, Zach Taylor's 1-4 week 1 in Hall of Fame game, 1-4 for the middle weeks, and 1-3 for the final week. And that's why he's a 5.5 point dog at home against the Colts, you know. So those are a few takes on that. The Niners won their game, and the Saints actually fought pretty hard. I think both coaches wanted to win. Shanahan, in general, was 5-4 in the middle weeks. Now he's 6-4, but in the final week he's only 2-4. So I'm going to be looking a little bit more at the Raiders this week. Lions don't care about preseason, even though they beat Kansas City. That was another one that a lot of people were on Kansas City. I'm glad I avoided that game. The one that I lost was the Chargers because, man, I got to tell you, I think Jim Harbaugh is motivated to win, but Easton Stick is just such a terrible quarterback that they can't get it done. I mean, if this team doesn't have Justin Herbert, they are not winning 7 or 8 games. They're going to win 4 or 5 games. But I think Justin Herbert is going to play. I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to get rid of that plantar fasciitis. I mean, you better freaking hope so, or else this team's going to be in some trouble too. But I'm going to give you a free play right now on the Jets, and it's +1, and they're playing the Giants. I just think there's still going to be some motivation on the Giants side, but, you know, I guarantee you that coach is not going to want to hurt his players. You know, Daniel Jones looks terrible, and he's probably going to play a little bit again. And obviously you're not going to see Aaron Rodgers, but you're going to see some Tyrod Taylor, you know. So is Tyrod Taylor better than Daniel Jones? Well, they're both on the same team last year, and after Jones got hurt, Taylor took over. Yes, I do think Tyrod Taylor is better than Daniel Jones. You know, I believe that. And Robert Saleh is 2-0 in the final week of preseason. By the way, Robert Saleh is kind of turning into a John Harbaugh a little bit of preseason football. The problem with John Harbaugh is that his backups are pretty bad themselves. You know, so he might want to win, but that doesn't mean they're going to win because his backups kind of stink. But I'm sure they're going to be fighting to make the team next week. But getting back to these Jets, they seem really motivated, and I think they're going to want to finish out going 3-0 in preseason. Now, you're going to see some lower string quarterbacks for sure. You'll get some Adrian Martinez and maybe some Andrew Peasley. Peasley actually wasn't that bad. 7 for 11. He's going to be trying to battle it out for their practice squad or possibly rostering a third quarterback because of Rodgers, But Tony Dayball's got a banged up Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito. DeVito's really not that good. I know he did okay in the regular season when he filled in against bad teams last year, but I kind of feel like anybody could have done that. They just got beat 28-10 against Houston, and Tony Dayball is 0-2 in week 4 now, or week 3. I'm sorry, the last week of preseason. But does that mean he's not going to win? The sample size is too small. 0-2. You can't completely go by that, but I do know that Robert Saleh likes to win. I know that Daniel Jones played terrible. 45.4 QBR rating last game. He's got to play better this game, but Jets defense is pretty legit, even from the second and third string perspective. I think the Jets do win this preseason game. I think they have to start Daniel Jones. I think they're going to start him because they paid him a bunch of money in the regular season. I don't even know if they'll play him. I imagine they're going to play him for a drive or two to try to get his confidence back, but I like the Jets this game. We're going to take the Jets plus the 1 for 2 stars.
You're ridiculously good looking.
All right. Well, that's what I have for preseason so far. I'll have a little bit more for you for our Thursday morning show. Now it's time to talk a little fantasy football with our wonderful guy, D Nasty. All right, now it's time for a little fantasy football. D Nasty is back. Dave, we just had your draft last night, my man. I actually picked 6 this time as the returning champion. I guess I drew the 6 in the lotto since it's not worst to first, which is great. Or worst goes first because I was like, okay, I'm not picking last. But it was interesting because
I picked 9th, so I got to pick after you, and I didn't even win the league last year. So I don't like that randomizer thing. That kind of sucks. But
I like the way.
What can you do?
I like the way I do it in my league, though. The winner picks last, but you have a playoff. For the people that are out, they still play off, so they're still engaged. I kind of like that.
I do like that a lot. It's just a lot more work, and I don't have time for that. So when I'm in 12 leagues, I don't have time to do little things like that.
That's true. That's true, man. It is time consuming. You got to remember to do it, otherwise you can get yelled at. But it was interesting because you have the super flex, and that means quarterbacks get drafted pretty much first. I don't know, CMC's usually top 5 still, but quarterbacks get drafted first. And I grabbed, Jared Goff. The first quarterback I grabbed was, God, who the hell did I pick? I'll have to actually go to him right now. But it was a great draft. And it's just interesting with the Superflex because it just makes quarterbacks that much more important when it's a 6-point quarterback league. Now, if it's a 4-point quarterback league, then they'll be still drafted a little bit high because quarterbacks still can score a ton of points, especially the running quarterbacks. That's when like the Lamar Jacksons, I would say, get drafted pretty high, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh.
And I took Kyler Murray on my way back. Actually, it's pretty ridiculous. I got Bijan Robinson at number 9, which was, I think, a steal. But like you said, the Superflex does affect things. So that just shows you what happens with that. And
that's right.
I think we're number 12, actually. So that's not going to happen in most leagues. So Superflexes make a lot more interesting drafts. So
and it's funny
interesting.
Because I picked 3rd last year and I won it, but I picked CMC 3rd. So CMC was still so much better than everybody, even in the Superflex league. So it's almost like he still should have been the number 1 guy. I picked CJ Stroud was my other quarterback, and then I came back with Jared Goff. And then I kind of went down into the running backs, Isaiah Pacheco. Then I got, I think, Marvin Harrison Jr. was still out there. Hopefully Kyler Murray does have a good year, so he's throwing Marvin Harrison. So that, I guess that will correlate a little bit. But we're talking about normal draft here today because, we can't do everything. There's no points per reception in leagues. I think that's few and far between now. I think most leagues are at least a half-point PPR or a full-point PPR. We like to split it into a half-point PPR just to kind of, break it up. But we will mention some of these rankings, if there's a difference. Like, you're probably going to go pretty heavy on a running back when it's a 4-point quarterback touchdown league and when it's a half point or 0 PPR. So your Derrick Henrys are going to be higher. Your Austin Ecklers are higher in the other side of things, even though he is definitely taking a hit this year. But we're going to start with quarterbacks this year. And Dave, we'll just do 5, 5, 5, 5. We're going to go our top 20 and then go over a couple sleepers. So I'll get started. Here it is. I think I have Josh Allen at number 1. I think a lot of people do. I don't think I'm too different with that. I agree that he should be number 1 because I think the Bills' defense does take a step back. I think they're just going to have to be fighting for more and more points. He's a gamer. I don't love the fact that he plays the Jets D, but he does play the Patriots and the Dolphins D a couple times, and I'm not too high in the Dolphins D. So I like Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson's number 2. I moved him up a little bit. Some drafts had him down below a couple guys. I have Jalen Hurts number 3. And I think Hurts has another big year. He does steal a lot of touchdowns with the tush push. Number 4, I have C.J. Stroud. And number 5, I have Joe Burrow. So there's a big name that I don't have in my top 5, Dave, which you might find interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I'll go over my top 5, and I have that guy in my top 5, actually. Number 1, I got Josh Allen. Just because of his rushing ability alone and those TDs he's going to get with rushing. Now that he doesn't have a strong receiving core, I think he even rushes even more when they're in the red zone. So I do like him, number 1. Number 2, I do have Patty Mahomes. You can't count him out. I like that they got him some more weapons on offense now, too. I only think that's going to make him better. So I got him at number 2. I got Jalen Hurts at number 3. I think he bounces back this year as well. So I got him in the same slot as you. I think he does, like you said, he's going to get those rushing touchdowns as well with the tush push. And he does see quite a few looks in the red zone as well. So I do like him at number 3. Number 4, I do have Lamar. I think he has a big year, especially with Derrick Henry there. I think that affects him quite a bit. I think that's going to actually help him quite a bit. Number 5, I got kind of a sleeper, kind of a surprise here. I got Anthony Richardson, actually, at number 5. I do like him. But I'll just go to my next 5 because my next guy is actually C.J. Stroud, who I'm very, very high on. I like C.J. Stroud a lot. It was really neck and neck with him and Richardson. I think Richardson bounces back. I like his rushing ability for Richardson, so that's why I went there for him. And then I got number 7. I have Kyler Murray, who I took in my league, actually. I think he bounces back this year as well. He should be fully recovered from that ACL injury, which will help a lot. And then at 8, I got Joe Burrow. If that wrist stays healthy, I think he can have a big year. Yeah. 9, I got Dak Prescott. And at number 10, Jordan Love.
Okay, well, you got Jordan Love at number 10. Okay. Last year, the average in my league, that's half-point PPR, 6-point touchdowns, was Josh Allen, Joe Flacco. Somehow he only played a few games, but he played easy teams. Lamar Jackson was 3, Dak Prescott was 4, Jalen Hurts was 5, and to be honest with you, Patrick Mahomes was way down there at like number 15 or 16 because his defense was so good. And so that's what I had to downgrade him some, Dave, because of that. And I just can't ignore
Which
last
is understandable, but I think with the weapons he has now with Xavier Worthy, they added him and Hollywood, Marquise
is hurt though, man.
He is, but he's still going to play this year.
Yeah.
And he might be out a couple weeks at the beginning of the year, but they still have Xavier Worthy, too, that they added, which I like as well, which gives us some downfield threat, too. So
he is fast.
I think he's going to help him a little bit.
All right. No, fair enough. I'll go with my number 6, which I have Dak Prescott. I'm a little higher on Dak Prescott. And I have 7 Patrick Mahomes. He'll win in a clutch game for you. What's funny about Patrick Mahomes is the big games, he'll probably score the most points in. Against those little bad teams, for some reason, they just kind of just sleepwalk through it, I feel. Kyler Murray's number 8 for me. Jared Goff is number 9. And I almost had to put him as a sleeper because so many people have him low. I don't understand why Goff is low. I know he doesn't get the rushing yards, but he's an absolute beast throwing that touchdown ball. And Jordan Love, to be honest with you, I also have number 10, Dave. I think there's no difference there. So we both agree on Jordan Love. As a Bears fan, I hate it, but he'd earned it last year. Brock Purdy, I have a number 11. Tua Tagovailoa, I have a number 12. Now, this offense could be better, and Tua's got a much higher ceiling, but I think his floor can be pretty low, too, especially with the injury concerns that's happened in the past. I have Justin Herbert at number 13. I'm still not convinced his plantar fasciitis is going to keep him out most of the year. I think he's just one of those that could be a value guy. I have Caleb Williams, number 14, from the Bears, who's already showed some flashes in preseason, and the hype's definitely on him, especially with that show that's out there. And
Hard Knocks.
Yeah, Hard Knocks. I can't remember the name always. I don't know why. I don't like reality shows, I guess. Number 15 is Matt Stafford. I have Stafford just because.
Ooh, wow.
Well, Matt, I have him higher than another big name. I have a bust coming up here, but I'll let you do your next 5 or 10 first.
Okay. This is going to be a surprise here, but this is the guy I really like. This is one of my sleepers this year that I'll get into in a little bit here. Jaden Daniels, number 11. I got Brock Purdy at 12. 13, actually, I had Tua as well. Number 14, I had Caleb Williams. I think he has a good year as well. I like him. He's looked good in the preseason too. Number 15, I had Jared Goff. The only reason I do have Jared this low, I know you had him a little bit higher, but they are a running team. So they're going to pound the ball. They have 2 great running backs, so they're going to use them for sure. I don't think he throws as many touchdowns. I think they get a lot more stuff on the ground, but I still think he is a good quarterback, and he's definitely still a top 15 guy. But I still remember the days when he was in Los Angeles with the Rams, and he just was killing people. So, but he's on a team he likes now. They're using him the right way. So, hey, I get him at 15, though.
Okay. Well, why don't you go 16 through 20?
Sounds good. 16, I like Trevor Lawrence. They got some added weapons there for him on offense. They got Gabriel Davis there now. And then they drafted the Brian Thomas Jr. too, who I like there as well too. So I like him at 16. 17, Justin Herbert. He killed me in my leagues last year. I don't know. He was a top 5 quarterback 2 years ago, but then injuries just has killed him. So I'm still hesitant on him now after he screwed me last year. So 17 for him. 18, I got Kirk Cousins. I like him at Atlanta. I think he could have a good year there. 19, I got Stafford. Same reasons as you said. 20, I have Aaron Rodgers. The Jets, they have some weapons there. They got Hall. They got our boy Braylon Allen, who's been looking awesome. Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams. If Williams gets healthy, I think they got some nice weapons there. Rodgers could have a nice year.
Okay, well, there you go. I actually have Aaron Rodgers number 21. Their defense is so good, he might not have to be great this year. Just injury, coming back from that. He's fine now, but I remember how he was talking last year, like he was going to make some comeback, making it all about him. And I was just like, Jesus, Aaron, this is why I was telling the Packer fans. This is why I was telling Dave all these years. He's not good, man. Not a good guy, Dave. Go Bears. Come on. All right. Number 16, I have Trevor Lawrence as well. And I think Trevor Lawrence was so suspect last year. Now he got his $55 million a year payday, just like Jordan Love. He better show up this year. Number 17, I have my first bust, and that is Anthony Richardson from the Indianapolis Colts. There is absolutely nothing in college that I liked from him except his size and speed and the fact that he's a freakish athlete. But that doesn't mean he's a quarterback in the NFL. He's an injury concern. I think he's overhyped. It just because of what he did in the combine, and you just have all these talking mouths just repeating each other, saying he's all that good. I am staying away from Anthony Richardson. Probably won't own him in any leagues.
I'm getting him in all my leagues. I like Richardson a lot. In his first 3-4 games before he got hurt last year, he was a stud. So his rushing ability alone, too. Him and Jaden Daniels, that's why I'm moving them up my board, is because the rushing ability alone is going to get you 5 to 8 touchdowns right there. Yeah,
until he gets hurt in game 5 again. Number 18 is Kirk Cousins. And Cousins, he's coming off the Achilles, and that's a tough injury. It's the same kind of thing as Rodgers, but, it's like there's questions that he's going to be completely healthy or if he's going to really start the year gunning. I'm a little... he can win you some fantasy games. He's going to have a higher ceiling, but also that injury floor that worries me. Jaden Daniels, I have at number 19. He's a rookie on the Washington, football team, and I hate the coach Dan Quinn there, so I'm just not high on Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to look good in the preseason and flunk out in the real season. And number 20, I have my first sleeper, Dave, and you saw it when they played against the Packers. Bo Nix, and I drafted Bo Nix as my third quarterback in your Superflex league.
I do like that pick, actually.
The dude balled out, man, and he is going to be the starter. It's not announced yet, but I can just tell that he's just way better than Stidham and the rest of the gang over there. And I think people were a little bit low on him, and I'm glad I didn't fade him in any bets. So I'm with Bo Nix. So a couple other ones. I have a massive bust is Justin Fields. I don't even think he's really a quarterback the way I saw him play in the Steelers. He looks awful. I wouldn't trust Russell Wilson either. I have Daniel Jones as a complete bust. I never seen him play so bad in the preseason last game. And maybe it's just preseason, but that year they did well. There were so many things that went the Giants' way. Not super high on him. Deshaun Watson, I kind of have as a possible bust. He hasn't been all that good since the Texans. Geno Smith is kind of a bust. I have a lot of busts, man, and I'm not sure who's going to kind of come out. I actually think that Geno could lose his job this year. I think Sam Howell might take his job over, so that's really interesting. And my other sleeper is Drake May. And when I say sleeper, I don't mean he's going to be like a QB1, but he could be that guy that's going to be starting soon enough for the New England Patriots because I think they know that Jacoby Brissett is just an early fill-in, Dave. So what do you?
He's a placeholder for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to some of my sleepers now as well. A guy I really like who a lot of people are overlooking right now is Bryce Young. The coach who actually resurrected Baker Mayfield's career last year is now with Carolina Panthers. So he's kind of a quarterback whisperer, and I think they have more weapons there now too for Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is definitely a guy that I'm getting in most of my leagues later on as a backup or my second or third quarterback or my second backup, my bye week fill-in, because I think he's young and he's still got the pedigree. I think he could be really, really good this year with some new coaches and new weapons that he has there. When Brooks comes back too, that's only going to help him. And then they got Deontay Johnson there too. So I like Bryce Young. Bo Nix, I agree with you on that one. He did look good in the preseason. They really don't have anyone else there. Jared Stidman is not the answer there. Zach Wilson, he's not even in the conversation. So Bo Nix is pretty much the de facto guy there. So I like him a lot as well. I do like Drake May. But the guy I really like out of this whole bunch is Will Levis. A lot of people aren't talking about him, but he got some experience playing last year. They added Calvin Ridley. They got Tony Pollard, who's actually a good receiver out of the backfield. Will Levis likes to bomb the ball deep to Hopkins and Ridley, and those are going to be two nice receivers for him to throw to. I think Will Levis takes that next step this year, and he's actually a sleeper this year I really like. Some of my busts, I do agree with you, Geno Smith. 100% agree that by mid-year he could lose his job. Howell looked good in the preseason, and Howell could be a decent starting quarterback. I think actually Howell is better than Geno Smith at this time as well. Deshaun Watson, I do not like Deshaun Watson as well. He's always injury prone. He just worries me. He doesn't look like he did like 3-4 years ago before all the injuries. So I don't know. I don't like Deshaun Watson either. I'm definitely downgrading him. Daniel Jones, never a big fan of him either. I think that 1 year was a fluke kind of. It was like a 1 year wonder for him. And then another guy I'm kind of in between on right now is Sam Darnold. What do you think of him, Kiev? Do you think he's a sleeper or do you think he's a bust?
I think he's a bust. What sucks is I think it really hurts Jefferson that he's going to be starting all year. He hasn't shown me that he's an NFL quarterback, even much less a backup. Look, if Kyle Shanahan can't fix this guy and didn't even consider him, then there's a freaking problem there, man. And that is seriously, and that hurts Addison's value too as a wide receiver, man. So I unfortunately had to downgrade those receivers just because of him. I think he's just going to have to start all year, and it's going to be a tough year for the Vikings, in my opinion. They'll win some games. He'll have a couple good games. It's hard to predict when it's going to happen. Maybe it'll be against a division game like the Packers or the Lions or the Bears. Who knows? But
hopefully it's the Bears.
Yeah, right. For you, but no, I think he's a bust until someone else proves me wrong, Dave.
And I don't know, because Jefferson's been heaping praise on him so far this preseason. He said he throws a nice deep ball. He said he lays it in there like it's like catching a little baby in a blanket or something like that. Jefferson was saying. I can't remember his quote.
Yeah, the cornerbacks are going to say that too. That are defending. They'll be like, "Oh, it's just like catching a little baby in the blanket, taking it for a 6."
But yeah, so I don't know. I think Darnold's is growing up. I think he's matured. I think he could be a solid starting quarterback. He'd be a good bye week fill-in, I think, this year. Right. And he's got the weapons, so we'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on that one, though. I could go either way on Darnold, though. So I want to get your thoughts. And I do think Fields is a bust this year, or Wilson, whoever is starting there. Pittsburgh's offense just looked atrocious. I don't think the new offensive coordinator was the solution there either. And then bringing in the old man Wilson, I think Wilson's kind of done now. But we'll see.
We'll see. Let's move to running backs then, Dave. Let's go 10 by 10 on this one since we're going to go at least 30 to 40 deep on this. Go ahead with your rankings 1 through 10.
All right, sounds good. Christian, CMC, of course, at number 1.
Mm-hmm. If you don't have CMC as number 1, you shouldn't be playing fantasy football. Yeah. I just want to let you know.
Exactly. Hey, but the funny thing is, though, I was reading something today. The Yahoo guys, guess who they had 1 and 2 on their boards right now? They're saying CMC is not number 1.
Is it my boy Jonathan Taylor?
Nope. They have Bijan Robinson and Breece Hall as 1 and 2 in the Yahoo experts. 10 Yahoo experts.
This is why I only use them for a fantasy league and don't read any crap on Yahoo. It is a garbage place. Fantasy experts. Jesus, get out of here. They do it. Bijan. I mean, we don't even know if Atlanta's going to be any good with Raheem Morris over there. This is CMC here, buddy. Jesus.
I know. I do have him as number 1, but I'm just telling you that. I read an article today, and their top 10 experts for Yahoo, the average pick, they had CMC behind those 2 in their rankings.
I'm going to ridicule them after this show is over on Twitter. So that is absolutely insane to me,
all right,
man.
Anyway, Christian McCaffrey, number 1. I got Bijan and then Breece Hall at 2 and 3. I am high on both of them. They're both young running backs. They're both going to see the ball and catches out of the backfield a lot. I like them. I got Taylor at 4. Our boy, I like him. I think he bounces back this year with a full preseason. And no contract squabbles this year, so I like that. Derrick Henry, 5. I think with playing with Lamar, they're going to be keying off on Lamar. They're not going to be able to key off on Henry, so I like that. I got Saquon at 6. I like him actually with the Eagles. Same thing with Hurts, so the running quarterback. They can't key off on Barkley. So I think those running quarterbacks definitely help the running backs as well. Jahmyr Gibbs at 7. I like him. I think him and Montgomery both can share the ball there and still get quite a few carries each. So I got both those running backs pretty high, but I got Gibbs at 7. Kyron Williams, if he stays healthy, number 8, he still kind of worries me a little bit. He could be borderline bust if he gets hurt, but we'll see. Number 9, I got Travis Etienne Jr. I like him a lot. I grabbed him in my league last night, him and Bijan, so big fan of his. Trevor Lawrence is inconsistent at times, and sometimes they'll have to rely on him, so I like him. At 10, I got Isaiah Pacheco. The Chiefs, he's had 2 good years the last couple of years. He's definitely the number 1 guy there, and that's just a great offense, too, so that he's definitely getting his touches there, too, for KC.
Okay, and I'm different than you. Kind of the same guys, but different orders and maybe a few different. I have Gibbs number 11, for example, but I have CMC number 1, Jonathan Taylor number 2, and we already talked about that the last show. Jonathan Taylor, I think, easy handcuffable. Breece Hall, I have number 3. I have Bijan Robinson number 4, so I have those 2 flipped. But all these the next 3 really after CMC is so close. I have Taylor, Hall, and Robinson so close.
I have it all close, yeah. The only reason I like Bijan is because he's going to be the guy there, and they say they're going to try and feed him the ball as much as possible this year. So, and it's the second year of the league. Like usually guys usually take off in their second years, and the same with Hall too. So essentially it's his third, but he's only really his second because he's out that full most of the first year. So I like those guys to take off. But yeah, like you said, it's very close between those 3.
Yeah, it's definitely very close. I'll share my screen too. So number 5, I have Derrick Henry, and I think he's just going to have a great year with the Baltimore Ravens because they're a running team. And so, this is half-point PPR, so he's number 5. Number 6, Saquon Barkley. I'm worried about him losing a few touchdowns, but he's still Saquon Barkley. Number 7, Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's awesome, and Kansas City loves him. The coach loves him, Andy Reid. He just busts his ass on every play. Travis Etienne, number 8. Number 9 is Joe Mixon from Houston. I think Houston's going to
interesting.
Yeah, I think Houston's going to use Mixon a ton. And number 10, I have Aaron Jones from Minnesota. Even though the Minnesota might not be that great, they paid for Jones. They're gonna run Jones. They're gonna use him, in my opinion, and he's gonna get his. I'll go 11 through 20 real quick.
That's good.
I don't have a lot of busts until I get to a certain spot, but a bust, it has to be a pretty far downgrade when you're all the way up here as it is. Gibbs 11, Josh Jacobs 12. Packers are going to use Josh Jacobs. James Cook is number 13. I trust him. Rashad White, who had some of the most touches last year, percentage of play for Tampa Bay is number 14. Devon Achane is number 15. So I have Achane up there pretty high. I decided to put him ahead of Mostert, Dave. I think his upside is just a little bit higher. Kyron Williams, I have is 16. It was kind of a bust. A lot of people have Kyron Williams high. The Rams are just a weird team when it comes to the running backs, and I actually have a sleeper coming up here that played for Michigan that we'll talk about pretty soon. That could get a lot of touches down there. David Montgomery, 17. And Raheem Mostert, I have 18, so he's not too far from Achin. But these are guys that could be both RB1s at some point here in this great McDaniel offense. James Conner is number 19, and Javonte Williams, Dave, I have number 20. I don't know why Javante's getting so much hate this year. I had to move him a little bit higher.
Last year, but I think he's coming off that injury, which kind of killed him still. It takes him like a year to recover from that ACL injury. So
and the Broncos were horrible last year. They're chasing everybody last year. They couldn't score.
That's you.
You know, it's like they're constantly behind. That defense was letting everybody in. They had to throw the ball. I just think it's going to be a little different next year, but we'll see. You know, go ahead with your 21 through 30.
11. I got him kind of high, but I like
or 11 through 30. Sorry, I meant to say.
What's that?
I meant to say 11 through 30. My fault. Go ahead.
Yeah, 11. I got Devon Achane from Miami. I like him. He's explosive, very quick. When he was playing last year, he was breaking off huge runs, so I like him at 11. Josh Jacobs at 12. Like you said, they're going to use him a lot. Marshawn Lloyd is still banged up too, so I think he even gets more touches. I don't think Dylan gets that many touches there. Kenny Walker, I got at 13. I like him. Seattle's going to be running the ball a lot again this year. They used Kenneth Walker quite a bit last year. 14, I got Joe Mixon. I don't know how much Joe Mixon's got left in the tank, man. He's getting up there in age. I like him in that Houston offense, though, so that's why I got him at 14. 15, James Cook. I think he could be even higher. I really like James Cook this year. He's one of my sleepers this year. I like him in that Buffalo offense, even though Josh Allen is going to take some touchdowns away from him. They said they're going to try and look for him more in the red zone, but we'll see. If they do, I like him a lot. Rashad White at 16. Like you said, he had some of the most targets and carries last year. But he didn't. He had a low yards per carry though last year. He had like one of the lowest yards per carry, I think, too, at the same time. So
that's true. He got a lot of touchdowns though. He did. He was the guy to run touchdowns.
That's what saved us for fantasy. 17, I got David Montgomery. Like you said, I had both of my Detroit guys very high. I think that offense can actually have two number ones there, or 1A, 1B. So I like Montgomery there at 17. 18, I got James Conner. I think he's still the lead back there, and they're going to run the ball a lot again this year. They said already. The coach likes to run the ball there. 19, Alvin Kamara. He's still a top back, even though he's getting a little up there in age, too, a little long in the tooth. But I think he'll have a good year as well. And 20, I got Ramad Stevenson. He was one of my sleepers last year. He kind of didn't pan out for me, but I think they got some more weapons on offense now. They got those young receivers there now. If May turns out, I think Stevenson can have a bounce back year this year.
Yeah, he could be one that's later in the year, kind of better as May gets better too. So I agree with that. Why don't you finish up and get to 30?
All right, sounds good. I got Aaron Jones at 21. All the reasons you said. The only thing that worries me though is if they start stacking the box. If Darnold's not able to beat people, they might start stacking the box against him. So that's why I moved him down a little bit. Najee Harris at 22, with Jalen Warren out for maybe possibly week 1 now with the hamstring injury. Keep an eye on that situation, but he will be getting quite a few more touches now because of that. But he's still their number one there, though, too. But he's, like I said, number 1A, 1B, kind of with him and Warren last year. They were splitting carries pretty evenly there. Raheem Mostert, your boy. If he stays healthy, I think he could be a good, solid number 2 there. And then 24, who I like a lot, Zamir White for the Raiders. He's going to be the number 1 guy there. Last 5-6 games of the year last year, he averaged 16 to 17 carries a game. So they're definitely feeding him the ball last year. And I think Antonio Pierce is going to do that again this year. Even though it's kind of sad to see Minshew starting over O'Connell. I like him better. But at 25, I got DeAndre Swift. And then for your boys, the Bears. So they just signed him with all that money. I think they're going to definitely try and use him. Still a little leery on him. I think Hebert could still go into take some carries from him away. 26, Tony Pollard. I like him with the Titans. I think he could have a good year there. Maybe a bounce back year for him as well. 27, Brian Robinson Jr. A lot of people are down on him this year as well. A lot of my Dynasty Leagues people are really down on him just kind of because they signed Eckler. I don't think Eckler is going to get any of the early down work. I think he's going to be like more of a third down back. And Eckler, you could see he's kind of deteriorating last year too, and he kept getting injured over the last couple of years. So I do like Brian Robinson still out there. Javonte Williams, 28, for all the reasons you said, I like him. Devin Singletary, he had a good year last year for the Texans. I think he could for the Giants as the number one there. And at 30, I have Zach Moss, who actually he's kind of a sleeper, but at the same time could be a bust. He's one of those ones that could go either way with his injury issues in the past. But if he does stay healthy, he could be a nice sleeper, though, at 30.
All right, fair enough. I don't disagree with a lot of that. I think I don't have a ton of busts. I'm going to go with number 21's kind of a sleeper, Zamir White. I think he's going to be the bell cow at the Raiders. So I just didn't like what I saw from the Raiders in the preseason so far. That was pretty ugly, playing their starters so long and still losing to the Cowboys second and third string. That was ugly. Ramondre Stevenson, number 22. Kenneth Walker, I have 23. That's kind of bust-ish because a lot of people have him a lot higher. I just don't trust Kenneth Walker that much. Chase Brown is number 24 as my first sleeper.
I like that.
I like Chase Brown. I think he's going to take over in Cincinnati. So that's why I'm predicting Chase Brown, baby. Number 25, DeAndre Swift for the Bears. Me and Dave said to stay away from this one, but he's still going to be the first one taken. And if the Bears' offense is all that, you got to expect him to get something. Alvin Kamara is number 26. Yes, long in the tooth. I agree with Dave. Tony Pollard is number 27. He should be the main guy in Tennessee. Number 28, I do have Najee. Not real great trustable, but Najee's at 28. Number 29 is Brian Robinson Jr. From Washington for the same reasons Dave says. And number 30, kind of a sleeper, Ezekiel Elliott. I think he does stay the starter over Dowdle and a couple of those other guys there. I think it is Zeke, Dave.
I think it is too. One of the sleepers I really like this year is Taj Spears. Even though I had Pollard a little bit higher, I think Taj Spears actually could take over that backfield if Pollard struggles again like he did last year. Pollard is not a bruising back either. He's more of a receiving back and finesse guy. He's not really a guy who can be a bell cow either. So I think Taj Spears actually could take over that backfield gradually over the year. My other sleeper was Chase Brown, who you just mentioned. I like him a lot too. Another situation where mid-year you could see him starting. Zach Moss, I don't think, is a bell cow either. He had quite a few carries when Jonathan Taylor was out, but he did get injured as well. So that tells you something. So I think Chase Brown actually is another guy I really like. And then Nick Chubb, don't forget about him either. He is coming off some major injuries, but don't forget about him in drafts either. Later rounds is a nice sleeper for those later round picks, maybe 10th round or later. You definitely grabbing Nick Chubb if you have an IR spot.
Yes, 100%. Nick Chubb's going to possibly win your fantasy league in the playoffs. So good stash for him in the 10th or 11th round if he even gets that far. Sleepers, you got Chubb, you got Ford there, and then obviously the other one that played for the Bears last year, Deontay Foreman. So I would go Chubb and Ford first. I'd probably pick Ford, then Chubb, and kind of use Chubb as like a handcuffy type deal that's going to get the starting position soon. But here's the thing. What's your thoughts on the Chargers? Because I put J.K. Dobbins as kind of a sleeper at pick 38, and I downgrade Gus Edwards down to 52. Is it Edwards you think they like more, or do you think it's Dobbins?
I think it's going to be Edwards at the beginning of the year, but if Dobbins is indeed healthy like he says and he's fully healthy, I think Dobbins will take that backfield over. So I think Dobbins will eventually, but halfway into the year, be that starter if he stays healthy. Gus Edwards is a trusted guy, though, and the roaming came over from the Ravens, and he liked him a lot there, too. So I hate to say it, but I think Edwards is the guy at the beginning of the year just because they have the trust in him. Dobbins hasn't really played that much over the last couple of years, so it's really hard to say. When he did play, he's explosive, and he does look good, but I don't know how healthy he really is. So it's just hard to know after the last couple of years with all the injuries with him. So absolutely. I'm still a little hesitant on Dobbins, but I think if he stays healthy, yes, mid-year he could be definitely a game changer.
It's another situation that you don't want to draft high either one.
Exactly. And another backfield you got to keep an eye on too is the Carolina Panthers. A nice sleeper at the beginning of the year would be Chuba Hubbard because he's going to be their starter, and he looked good at times last year when he was starting and getting carries. But then they actually have Miles Sanders there too, and then they have Jonathan Brooks who's coming back, who's a nice late round sleeper.
He'll be back for the 5th week, I think.
Yeah, so he's like another Chubb where you can later rounds if you can grab him and stash him, But at the beginning of the year, if you need a running back, Chuba Hubbard might be a nice pickup, though, too, because he's going to get the carries at the beginning of the year for those first 4 or 5 weeks.
100%. Some of my other sleepers are Trey Benson from Arizona. He could definitely take away some from Connor. He was a really good running back at Florida State. Bucky Irving from Oregon. Tampa Bay drafted him. So if Rachaad White does lose some carries, it would be probably to Bucky Irving. And Bucky Irving's shifty. He didn't run the greatest 40, but he runs good with pads on. You saw how quick he was in that offense there at Oregon. So that was wonderful to watch. I think I got him at 43. And number 44, I have Audric Estime from Denver because, if people are a little bit worried about Javonte Williams, it's probably because of Audric Estime there. I know he got Shamaje there still, but Audric Estime was also a good running back in college coming into Denver. And so they could be a little bit more of a committee over in that situation. Some deep sleepers that you're probably not going to draft, but you want to keep your eye on for waivers. Frank Gore Jr., like I said before, for Buffalo, he's got the pedigree for being a great running back. Definitely looks just like his dad, like Dave said in his last show. And hopefully he plays like his dad because he's actually pretty good. I think he played for Southern Miss, I'm thinking. I can't remember. Yeah, it was Southern Miss. And then I also have Kenny McIntosh. You got to keep your eye on him at number 82. Not draftable, but something just to watch.
So, Keo, we forgot the best sleeper of the draft, though, here. Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen. That's right. We talked about him last week. Yeah,
Braylon Allen is probably one of my top sleepers, actually. So he's looked good in the preseason. They said no one can tackle him. Everyone's afraid to tackle him because he's just a huge guy who's just fast and just thick. He's been looking really good in camp. Everyone loves him at the Jets, and people are in the media is even talking about him now too. So definitely, he's a guy moving up my boards. So if he said he might even take some carries from Hall, they're even saying now too. So they're really high on him. So I'm getting him in all my leagues that I can in the later rounds.
That's a great move, Dave. I forgot to move him up in this part of my rankings. I moved him up in a different one. So thanks for reminding me. Yeah, Braylon Allen. He's a big man, and he is hard to take down. He was really when he played on the Badgers, they were just that much of a better team just because of the size of this man. He could be NFL running back all over the place, kind of like a Jacobs, but a little bit faster. Remember back in the day, Jacobs on the Giants?
Oh, yeah.
How good
Brandon
he was.
Jacobs.
Yeah, Brandon Jacobs. He reminds me of a faster Brandon Jacobs. So, Braylon Allen, if you draft Breece Hall, please come back and get Braylon Allen because he's going to be your number 2 guy for sure in the Jets, Dave.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And they said he's actually been catching a lot of balls in camp, too. They said he's been looking like a nice receiver over the backfield, too, which is surprising because they didn't get a chance to do that at Wisconsin. But they said he's actually got some nice touch and he's making some nice catches, too, as well.
That's awesome, Dave. Well, we're out of time, my man. Any last thoughts before we send it off? And next week we'll talk about wide receivers, tight ends, and defense a little bit.
Yeah. Have a great week, everyone. Get ready for all those drafts. And just make sure you check your rankings and check those injuries, too, before you draft.
That's right, my friends. One more week of preseason. Now let's get into a little bit of Circa contest with our wonderful guest, Vegas Matty. All right, we are back with Vegas Matty from FootballContest.com. You can tweet already. I am ready, my man. At Vegas_Matty is his handle. Hey, Matty. Oh, geez. We're coming on football season, my man. It is 2 weeks away-ish, maybe a couple days, but there's just a lot going on. How are things with Football Contest?
Good, man. Everything's rocking and rolling. We did a ton of signups over the weekend, and then this week Circa is having their ultimate contest weekend. So I know you're going to be out here for that. They're doing the Media Row event on Friday, so I'll see you again at that point. But I'm pretty booked solid on Friday. I got to do some super contest signups and then head from the Westgate over to Circa because Tony's doing the Circa signups. And then I got a bunch of media stuff I'm doing pretty much all afternoon on Friday. So try to get the word out a little bit more. I know I'm going to join you at 1 o'clock Pacific time again. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it was either 1 or 1:30. I gotta look at it. Maybe it was 1. It is 1 actually. So,
whatever works for you. I'll be there.
Well, I'm going to be there too, man, and I'll be back and forth coming down. We'll have some swag with us. So if anyone wants to stop by, we have some odds breakers, some lighters. That was actually the hottest item last year. People grabbing lighters. The whole box was gone.
Oh,
But
you don't find lighters anymore.
yeah, I know, right? I thought it was
They're
cool.
vintage, yeah.
I mean, it's Vegas. I'm not going to give out pens. I'm going to give out lighters, dude.
You get those at the sports book, so you're good. You're covered there.
Exactly. But there's a few hats probably we're going to have, some shirts. So, yeah, stop by and get some swag. Say hi to us. I can't wait, man. It's going to be a fun weekend. Lots going on.
Sure.
We're going to have events galore. The D Thursday night, Stadium Swim all Friday afternoon. Stop by Stadium Swim. Hopefully watch a little football on by then. On Saturday, obviously, you have the college games. So that's going to be fun. Let's talk about the updates here then for Circa Millions. And so where are we at right now? How many entries do we have out of the guarantees?
Yeah, for the million, there's a little over 2,000. Survivors over 5,000. So that's kind of what we're at. Those numbers will more than double. So expect that to happen. Maybe like 2.5 times what those numbers are today. You can kind of expect to see that Saturday, September 7th, when everything kind of closes up. So don't get too scared about that, that the low numbers and the huge overlays. They're counting on a lot of people coming out the next 2.5 weeks to get signed up. And there you go. You got the numbers right there, fresh.
Don't be scared. Be happy. Be happy. Hopefully it stays at these numbers for you because these are guaranteed.
Jeff Benson's projecting 5,500 for the million, which is still a nice overlay of 500,000 if that happens. And the survivor, though, forget about it. It's going to be like 11, 12 $million in the pot. So that's 11, 12,000 entries. So if you're looking for an overlay in that, that's you're going to be out of luck there. But the good thing is the pot goes up. So every entry that goes in is another $1,000 into the pot, and people are maxing those things out like crazy. 10 entries is the max, $10,000. So I mean that is the most popular football contest in Vegas history. So it's only getting bigger and better.
It's got to be the largest football contest in history too, with the Survivor, 10 million guaranteed.
Largest legal one, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. Largest legal. I didn't think the illegal ones have been that big. Well, it's going to be awesome. What's fun is that you got a whole weekend in Vegas. You got 2.5 weeks to go there. I mean, there's flights that are less than $300 anywhere in the continental U.S. Sometimes you have to get cheap and do a red eye, but so what, man? Get to Vegas and get signed up here.
You guys come in and out the same day, so if that's the case, just hit us up at footballcontest.com. We'll do our best to accommodate you during our busy schedule because we are at the books every single day from here on out. So we will be there, whether it's the Circa Sportsbook or the Westgate Superbook. They're trying to get those contest entries up too. They're at 453 for their contest, which is a far cry of what it used to be, but they just had their big contest weekend. Super contest weekend was last weekend. And like the entries all the way around. I mean, it's almost like 10-1, the ratio on like millions entries to super contest. Maybe it'll probably be like closer to 5-1 by the time everything's said and done. But right now it just seems like for every, 7, 8, 9, 10 entries that are in the Circa Million, you're getting one for the super contest, which is kind of sad, but that's what happens when you have a guaranteed prize pool versus not a guaranteed prize pool.
That's right. That's what happens if you don't have the sticks to put it up, man. Yeah, and that's what it's about. How about from last year at this time? It's hard to kind of gauge. I don't know what football starts on a different day, but let's just say the 2.5 weeks before the season is kind of what we have to think. 2,201 Circa Millions. I feel like it was slightly higher. Maybe I'm wrong, but I also feel like Survivor's a lot higher right now, over halfway.
Survivor's definitely a lot higher. The Millions, it's pacing slightly above last year. I think they had 5,300 last year in the Circa Million. So Jeff is saying 5,500. So it's a little above last year, but still, that still leaves a decent overlay for all those guys who like the pick 5 contest.
All right. And so the Millions, what did you say that was at trending?
Well, last year I just got from Jeff Benson. He told me that it's trending a little higher than last year.
Okay.
Maybe they had like 2,100 entries at this time last year. Who knows? But yeah, it's definitely higher this year. Everything's pacing higher. Survivor especially. I mean, they had 9,300 entries in that last year, and now they're trending at close to 12,000. So, which I think it'll probably come close to 12,000. I'm going to guess something like between 11 and 12. somewhere in between there will be probably the final number. But that's still a lot of money. A lot of people, regardless of how many people chop at the end, that's still going to be a nice chunk of pie for whoever is in that at the end.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of notoriety, you get from just making it this far. I mean, last year there's you think that 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 entries are going to, have 100 to 300 people, but most of the time it's not. 4 people made it through the end last year, and they chopped the week before. Yeah. And they were talking about chopping before, and one guy didn't want to do it, and obviously,
they got it down to 10. Yeah,
and he got bounced because I think Jacksonville beat or Cincinnati beat Jacksonville with a backup quarterback. That was just like what
that Monday night game. That was a killer. That was.
Pittsburgh also lost a few. Pittsburgh lost a few too. It was just one of those. Oh God, there's just teams that are just hard to play on because of coaching and other situations. Trevor Lawrence was a shell of himself last year. Something was wrong with him. I didn't understand.
Yeah, he was. Well, to his credit though, he was playing with injuries down the stretch. He was trying not to miss a start, and I think he might have ended up missing one game. But other than that, I mean, he was playing hurt, and we'll see how that shakes out this year. But they have bigger problems on the defensive side of the ball than anything else.
Yeah, they certainly do. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. They do have a new defense coordinator, which I'm excited about. So we'll see about Jacksonville. But that's how it is, though. I mean, people think there's not a chance of me gaining over 1 million when there's 8,000, 10,000 entries. No, there is. There is a chance. And sometimes even that person with 1 entry is the one making it that far. You just got to block out the noise. It's like
exactly.
Some weeks you do got to get on kind of more of a consensus, and some weeks you're just be like, look, this consensus worries me. I know I'm going on the 2-point favorite here. I'm making a risk. Hell, maybe you've been doing it on a 1 or 2 point dog that week, but it's just one of those ways to win because it's not about you advancing as much as it is about getting everybody out of the way.
Right. Yeah. You want to survive the carnage when those big favorites end up losing. You want that to be the end of other people and not yourself. And if you could play it safe and even try to save some of those really good teams till the end, where it's a little easier. And I shouldn't say easier, but when if you look at the Christmas weeks and Thanksgiving weeks and stuff, you gotta have some pretty good teams available to take on in those weeks if you're still alive, and you don't want to have scraps to deal with and screw yourself at the end where you put yourself behind the 8 ball. So I mean, that's why even when you look at the first 2 games and you're looking at the Ravens and the Chiefs and then the Eagles and the Packers, like who in their right mind is going to pick one of those teams unless they're going to buy back and try to get back up to 10 entries and push a few of their entries along just by guaranteeing that they go through. If you bet both sides, that's a possibility. But other than that, I mean, those teams are going to be primed down the line. You don't want to waste them in week 1.
Absolutely, you don't. That is, you got to look at Thanksgiving and you got to look at Christmas, because the Christmas week, I think they're adding the Monday night game or the Thursday. I think it was the Monday night game.
I think it's a Thursday. I think it's the Wednesday games and then Thursday.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then Thanksgiving, same.
Because Thursdays normally starts the following week, but it's not that week. Yeah,
I think so. I could be wrong because it could be the Monday night game and then the Wednesday, but it doesn't make as much sense to do that because I'll have to look at the rules.
But what's great about this is the prestige too. I mean, there's a reality show about it last year. There's probably going to be a lot of cameras this year. You'll be on camera if you're making it probably past Thanksgiving. There's a good chance that you're going to be noted. Yep. Whether I'm not exactly sure what they're doing this year, but the winners and the people in it are very popular people at the time. And obviously, if you win the millions, you get the blue jacket, and then you're invited every single year, comp by the Circa. You get a free hotel, and you get to go to the dinners and the swim and all that, which is just massively prestigious. To come into Vegas to get treated like that. I know a few of the past winners myself that I'll be hanging out with a little bit over the weekend this weekend. So it's not just the money, it's just the fun. It's tons of fun to do this. And Matty, how can people get into this contest?
Yeah, so just get all the information at FootballContest.com. You can find out our schedule during Ultimate Football Contest weekend, which is most of the events are Friday and Saturday. And then there is a seminar on Saturday afternoon. And we're going to be at the book between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. in booth 5, both Friday and Saturday. And then I'm hosting my fantasy football draft through Full-Time Fantasy on Saturday night. And then for those people, that league is full. So I am getting into a high stakes league the following day on Sunday at 6 p.m. Also drafting from Stadium Swim, $1,925 entry fee for that one, but you can win $150,000 in that one. So if you want to get information on that, you can go to fantasyfootballcontest.com and you can see all of the contests that Full-Time Fantasy offers. They have a lot of different options there that they're running pretty much every day, both in person and online. So if you can't get out to Vegas, you can also participate in one of the online drafts, and those start at $50 all the way up to that big one that's almost $2,000.
Well, that is absolutely massive. Wow. Big contest, big fantasy, big things are happening in Vegas and at footballcontest.com. Come down and see us over the weekend. Make sure you check us out. You know where to find us. We'll be at the Circa. Matty, I'll be seeing you in a few days.
See you soon, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, my friends, make sure you check out footballcontest.com when you get to Vegas to sign up for these massive contests. Thank you so much for listening to this show. If you like what you hear, please feel free to write a review. A 5-star review goes a long way for us in the algorithm, so we really appreciate that. That could be done on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to this podcast. We'll be back on Thursday morning with some Kyle Hunter talking about college football and some pace changes from last year with some new coaching and new offensive coordinator hires. So I'm excited to talk to Kyle about that for the totals perspective. Have a wonderful rest of your week and go get some winners.